Sean McCann. What can I tell you about him? He didn't send me a bio. Not that I would criticize a fellow Rotarian in public, of course. But you know that he is dedicated to community service. Anyone who works on a city commission also has stamina and a high tolerance for pain. And reserves are reclaimed, and there's another one on the far end. My goodness. We're surrounded by masochists. Sean, associated with the Red Cross, cares about the community, and obviously cares about communities overseas. Sean McCann.
Thank you, Keith. Some of you may recall the following statement. There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, it's probably in Tennessee. It says, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, we can't get fooled again. That, of course, is our very eloquent president talking about fooling people. We certainly know now who was fooled again and again, and who has been doing it. The question is, how much longer will we allow it to continue? Here in Kalamazoo, I went to a funeral last week, Corporal Jordan Good, and as I come in the library tonight, I see the flags of half-staff again. And this is the sacrifice that is being made to this overall conflict. Corporal Good lost his life in Afghanistan, but we know that this is the failed policies that are costing these lives every day and every week. I have to say that the Blue Star ceremony going to the Gold Star at this funeral was probably one of the saddest things I've ever seen. And my reaction at the funeral was that I never wanted to sit through another one of these. I want to thank the organizers for the chance to just briefly come and share with you my feelings about the Iraq War. I've always been against it since before it started. I couldn't believe it happened, and that when it was unfolding in front of my eyes, it was just amazing. Let me talk briefly about the war in the city of Kalamazoo, since I serve on the Kalamazoo City Commission. Most of us know what the general costs are for this war. It's kind of hard to put your finger on, $500 billion, and that's just the direct costs. We don't know about the Department of Energy and other areas where funds are spent. And we all wonder, what could we have solved with that money? Commissioner Cooney, myself, and my colleagues on the City Commission know that there are lots of problems that we see locally here that we can't fix because the resources aren't there. And then we see day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute, the amounts of funds that are spent in Iraq, thinking about what we can solve here in Kalamazoo, in the state of Michigan, in the United States. And we know this is a special appropriation. This isn't on the annual budget. So this is debt that's coming due, we don't know when. Our children and grandchildren will be paying this bill. When I think about that, I wonder, where are the tax hawks? Where are we on the corruption that goes on in Iraq every day? And when people talk about waste in social programs and big government, where are they on waste and fraud in Iraq? The Kalamazoo City Commission, part of it, a majority of it, passed a resolution in 2006 saying that because of the local impacts of the war, the ones I just mentioned, that we wanted to see a reasonable and prudent exit from Iraq. Commissioner Cooney took that resolution to Washington, D.C. recently, got national publicity out of it, and was able to take that with hundreds of others from around the country to make our statement louder yet. Let me just say briefly that passage of that resolution was not easy. It started in one form, and it got to a point where 4 commissioners were willing to support it. So I ask you to please, thank you, remember that this fall during the election, that Cooney, Anderson, McCann, and Hopewell were the 4 votes that were needed to pass that resolution. I'm sorry, I've already been flagged, but I wanted to get to the topic briefly, so I'll try and go through that. I'm not an expert on Iraq exit, foreign policy. I don't have any magic solutions. I know we must do something, we must do it now, or we'll be forever mired in this quagmire. What do I think we should do? We need to change the policymakers in 2008. And that's regardless of what happens in September when we get our so-called progress report. Remember that Representative Upton has 1 vote under his belt, but promises are promises, and I've been at a couple of Rotary meetings where we've gotten updates from Representative Upton on Iraq. Only at the end of the meeting, or when an audience member asked him about it after he had outlined all the other priorities that he was working on. Next door to us, we now have a strong challenger to change the U.S. House seat. Representative Tim Walberg will be challenged by State Senator Mark Schauer. We know there are multiple U.S. Senate seats, that 60 is the magic number to get to. There are various races around the country, and I'm not sure where it will be with Joe Lieberman's race, but that is basically a factor that has to be dealt with. So, and finally, of course, the presidential race. We need to focus intensely on the Democratic primary, work with whoever emerges, even though it may be difficult, because the alternative, you know the field, Giuliani, Romney, will just be a continuation of the same policy. So please, let me leave you with this. I believe this is where our focus and our passion and our energy must be, and our money. This, we hope, will finally cause the left to come together and bring an end to this administration, change the majority in Washington to the point where policy can be changed. Foreign wars divert attention from domestic issues. What has gotten better in 6 years? What if we had invested those funds in the United States? Remember the Bushism from the start. Please don't keep being fooled. It's time for the people to set a benchmark for withdrawal in 2008. Thank you.